And today we're going to meet a man called Caiaphas.
He was a high priest at the time when Jesus was alive.
And one day he met Jesus.
That's right, when Jesus was arrested. And we're going to see what we can learn about Jesus through this interaction he had with the high priest, Caiaphas.
But tell me what a high priest is, Alana.
Yeah, a high priest is someone who is in the business of finding mercy. Now, that might sound hard, but if you were a nurse, you'd be in the business of healthcare. If you were a teacher, you're in the business of education. If you're a high priest, you're in the business of mercy, finding mercy for God's people.
Why? Why did God's people need mercy?
Well, they needed God's mercy because God had rescued them and then as his people given them good laws to live by, but they'd failed to obey God's good law and failed to remember him as their God.
So God set up a system, a priest system, a sacrificial system where the priest could provide mercy for God's people.
That's right. They just weren't fake showy things, the priest and the tabernacle. They were things that were really set by God as a pattern that would one day point to Jesus. It all began with Aaron, though. You might remember Aaron in the middle.
Moses' brother.
Yep. He was the first of many high priests. In the middle of the tabernacle, there was a place called the Most Holy Place. And only the priest, the high priest, could go in there. And only once a year, on one day of the year. And there was a certain spot in there called the mercy seat. And the priest needed to sprinkle blood on that mercy seat so that when God came down into the most holy place, he would see the blood of that sprinkled on the mercy seat instead of just seeing all the mistakes, all the disobedience that God's people had committed against their law.
Was it the priest's blood or was it someone else's blood?
Whose blood was it? That's a good question. It was the blood of a goat or a lamb sacrifice.
Wow. Why didn't they use beautiful perfume or something better than blood?
Yeah, well, whenever people disobey God, who is so good and big and strong and holy, death has to happen. The punishment for sin is death. And so God set up this beautiful system where an animal could die in the place of the death that maybe we should take.
Wow-wee.
But it wasn't just one goat or one lamb that was used by that high priest. There was one lamb that was sacrificed and his blood was thrown on the mercy seat, but there was another lamb or goat. And what happened with him is the high priest would put his hand on the head of the goat and confess all the people's sin as if he was transferring the guilt from the people onto the goat. And then that goat would just be sent out into the wilderness far, far away, never to be seen again. Like your sin being taken away.
That is a huge relief, knowing that their guilt could be taken away from them. This is all a pattern though, isn't it, Alana?
It is just a pattern.
It's all picture language. When did that real event happen?
Yeah, the two goats couldn't really take away sin.
They can't take sin away.
Or provide mercy.
No.
They were all pointing to Jesus.
Caiaphas and Jesus met face to face, didn't they?
Yep, at Jesus' arrest.
Yep.
He was first of all brought before the high priest Caiaphas.
Did Caiaphas recognise that Jesus was going to be the perfect sacrifice once and for all?
No, sadly, Caiaphas, who was in the business of bringing mercy and pointing people toward God's mercy, missed the real deal. He missed Jesus.
High priest Caiaphas, of all the people in the world, he should have recognised who Jesus was. He was going to be that perfect sacrifice.
He should have been looking for mercy.
And did he get it?
No.
Did he get Jesus?
He missed the one that everything was pointing to.
He missed Jesus by that much. What can we learn from this event when Caiaphas met Jesus? One day we're going to stand before the judge. The judge is Jesus. What does that mean for us?
Yeah, well, we've got to be ready to meet Jesus, and the way to be ready is to cry out for mercy. And we have the opportunity to receive mercy for his blood to be sprinkled so that God doesn't see our sin but sees a punishment that's already taken in someone else's death, and for our guilt to be put on someone who will take it far, far away.
So we can be ready for Jesus' mercy right today.
Yeah, if we're ready now to receive God's mercy, then when we meet Jesus as our judge, he'll also be our saviour. And we won't receive the punishment that was due to us. It would have been placed on Jesus, and we will have received mercy instead.
Amen.
Good news, eh?
Great news.
So Caiaphas teaches us that God is in the business of providing mercy, and it's all through Jesus.